if you decide to put a 15% tax
on electricity,
it is, I think, is the worst decision a government can take. And I'll explain why. Electricity is a necessity.
Sure.
Electricity is for two things. For those of us consumers, it's a finished good. For producers like factories, it's a raw material. All right. So if I buy electricity as a product to use, I'm not adding any value to it. So even though you've changed a lot to add VAT to electricity, economically it doesn't make logic.
Because it's a finished good to me as a consumer.
That's my first point. Number two, electricity is a necessity. When you place a tax on necessity, poor people bear the incidence of the tax. Because the proportion of my income I spend on a necessity as a poor person is higher than the proportion of income a rich person spends on their electricity. All right. And that 30 kilowatt hour thing is too low to make any sense. So it's a regressive tax. So people have already suffered from the increase in VAT. We are paying COVID tax. We are paying all kinds of levies.
Already the tariffs, they were increased recently.
Good. You've increased tariffs every quarter since last year. The year before last, every quarter. The only quarter they increased was the third quarter, which was like a 1% reduction. I'm spending a large proportion of my income on electricity. And the tariff has gone up. And now you are placing a 15% tax on this. All right? Because you want to macro stability and you want to raise revenue. You are killing poor people. You are giving poor people incentive to go and say they are going to do illegal connection. Because now we have prepaid. Okay, so you have to purchase the electricity. So that's point number 2 I've made, right? So it's it's absurd to impose a tax, even in advanced countries. This is the other thing. In the UK, they have VAT of 20% on goods and services. Their VAT on electricity is 5%. Do you get it? So this is my third argument. Even if you are going to impose a VAT on electricity, you shouldn't apply the same VAT that you apply on a mobile phone on electricity. Because a mobile phone is not the same price as electricity. So in every country that they've applied VAT on power, the rate is much, much lower. Okay, for example, UK, VAT charged on goods is 20%, VAT on electricity is 5%, and that 5% is even being debated. In Netherlands, they've reduced the VAT on energy from 21 to 9%. These are advanced society.
21
to
9%.
And you in Ghana have changed your VAT rate. When you calculate your VAT rate, about 15% plus. It's actually about 19%.
This is regressive.
So if you now take 15% tax and you apply it on top of electricity tariff, it is
unconsiderable. It's just
it doesn't make sense. Okay. Now let's go to electricity for production. So for those who are using electricity at home, this 15% is regressive. Now, electricity is the raw material for everything produced in Ghana. When we checked inflation for made in Ghana products, it was 23%, higher than imported products. What you are doing by imposing a 15% tax on electricity is that you are telling water companies, cement companies, drink companies in Ghana that they should go and suffer because imported goods will be much, much cheaper. Because if my factory, like Tema Steel factory, Fabric Metal, is electricity heavy, and you are telling me that I should pay 15% more on the cost of what I'm producing, I'm going to pass it on to the consumer. So if I produce steel, and you're going to use the steel to do
iron rods,
I'm going to raise the iron rods price by more than 15% because my power is going up. Do you understand? So you are doing two things. You are going to push inflation up again, and you're going to make the cost of products higher. So even though you are going to allegedly receive revenue from this 15%, you are killing local. So take Tropical Cable, take Fabric Metal, take Gasem, take Standard Water, take Diamond Cement. You're making all these companies uncompetitive because they are Chinese competitors from abroad who have cheaper products. They will either shut down their factory or have to raise price. It is it doesn't make sense to me on any economic level.
Or even sack some of their employees.
Yeah, did. So on the consumer side, it doesn't make sense. On the regressive versus progressive side, it is regressive. And then on the pass-through side for industry, it doesn't make sense. Yet Parliament, there's a law that has increased the VAT. You just understand what I'm saying? In addition to all this inflation thing, and then you say you've turned the corner, there's absolutely something wrong with this. Do you get me? So for me, I think the government has missed the trick. They have completely lost the plot on this economy. And this idea of taxing electricity is not on at a time where, let me tell you something. Yesterday, I called my friend Ferdinand Abodakwi to bring me a Doomsor fan. You see,
Doomsor fan.
As I'm talking to you today, people don't have power. So I interview what's the name of the guy? A Japan Mesa. I said,
Deputy Energy Minister.
Where's the graphic? It says we've paid. I interviewed him and it says we've paid 10 million to WAPCO. So the power is over. This money people don't have power.
That's true.
If you like, ask your listeners whether people have power. No. So this thing we are doing, if you want, you are imposing a tax on a product that is even not reliable.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I think that it is the worst tax decision that has been taken by a government, and the parliament, if they've not approved already, to reject it. Industry should reject it. Consumers should reject it. The government should not impose this 15% tax on electricity at all.
It's completely regressive.
They should shelve it and put it. They should bin it. It's a terrible decision. It's going to, and then I'm going to say something. By end of year, the revenue will be affected. ECG will lose money. People will do illegal connection. The government's revenue that they will get will not be compensated because all the tax. Don't forget they raise some taxes for companies after tax profit and things. A lot of companies will shut down because people will not locate their factories here. If I'm a cocoa manufacturing company and you are telling me I'm going to pay 15% more,
I'm moving to another.
I'm going somewhere else. So I think the government should not allow the finance ministry and the GRA to mislead it. This is a terrible decision.
It is.
It is a completely, from an economic angle, it doesn't make sense. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't go into the legality. But I even feel it's absurd to impose a VAT on power. Some people do it. But it's going to lead to business losses, job cuts, and eventually when you analyze the tax, they'll lose more money than they'll gain. So I think the government should not, they should not do it.